What's up, everybody? It's Greg with Delta. This is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring on guest speakers. Today, I've got the distinct honor and pleasure of welcoming a good buddy of mine, a fellow brother from the Camino De Santiago, a retired MMA fighter that used to go by the name of Captain Awesome, a father of three, a husband, and currently a mortgage broker, Mr. Kris Hocum.
Hi, Greg.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. What's going on, brother?
Oh, man, just enjoying it since we've been back.
Yeah, dude, it's been great. You know what? Before we start, what's your biggest takeaway?
Man, there was a lot, but I think the biggest one for me was I need to take the time to refill my tank daily so that I can keep giving it out to clients, family, etc.
Yeah.
You know, I was a realization that I was on, 5 a.m. to, a second I wake up to the second I went to bed, I was mentally on work-wise and not taking that time to refill the personal tank that way.
That is, dude, that's actually something that I took away. Something similar. It really is about the distractions that we get on a daily basis with our phone, with notifications, and always having to be on. And what it causes us is to not be very present.
Yeah.
With the people that we're with. I'm constantly thinking about, oh man, I got to send this email, I got to do this, got to do that. And so I'm not there mentally. And we read that book before we came, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, which was a great book by John Mark Comer. But right now I'm reading Do It by David Nurse. And one of the chapters he talks about distracted. And the average person gets approximately 65 to 80 notifications on their phone every day. Would you say that feels accurate?
Yeah, probably light for me, but yeah.
So with each distraction, if you take yourself away with each distraction, it typically takes you an average of 25 minutes to get back on focus task.
Totally.
So if you were to take the low end of 65, you multiply that by 25 minutes, that's 1,625 minutes a day, which comes out to 27 hours. And then people wonder why we're such in a distracted society. I actually just read this today.
That's awesome.
We're in such a distracted society right now, and people make excuses for what it is that they do on a daily basis. And there's something else. I actually put this on my story because I read it and it was just thought provoking. It was about Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher. Have you heard of him?
I have.
Nietzsche. So Nietzsche argued that in the unmodern observations that people as a population generally seek out distractions to stay mentally busy. They do this so they can avoid facing up to the big questions, like whether they're living a genuinely meaningful life. So imagine like being in a scenario where you take out all distractions in your life, no notifications, no disturbances, everything's just gone all of a sudden. Kind of like we did in the Camino, right?
I think that's what we did in the Camino.
What if who you found on the inside isn't the person that you wanted to see, right? What if all those external distractions are in fact a shield and something that you hold up to dodge the reality of how you are choosing to live your life, right? And so I always try to think about like talking to people, like, are you racing from one thing to the next for fear of yourself, like pondering to yourself and being alone with your own thoughts? If you find a second of free time, do you pull out your phone and scroll through social media, check the news, text a friend, right? These are signs that you're probably trying to stay busy because you're not wanting to stay in still and silent thoughts, which is something in the book, the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. He talks a lot about when it comes to Jesus, and Jesus spent daily time in silence and stillness. And basically, it was basically like his form of prayer. And he talks about basically talking about prayer. But what he would do is go off on his own, and he would just be in silence and solitude.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, man, that's a great takeaway. I took away something very similar.
It's because like what you just said was exactly what we got to do each day on the Camino. Like we had nothing to do while we walked except for talk, think, goof off, but like there was no distraction. There was no stress because like even like the things that were back home, everybody was sleeping.
Mm,
It was just so great just to because we did get to some of those deep, like, who am I? Who am I really? You
yeah.
know, what do I want to do?
What do I want to do in my life?
Yeah.
Am I doing it?
Am I
Am I
doing
living a purpose-driven life?
it?
Yeah, it was good, man. The conversations were just genuinely deep. And well, I had a conversation. I had a podcast that I recorded with Matt again, and we
Yeah.
talked about it. And we talked about some stories, and we can talk about stories like any of the funny stories that you want to bring up. But before when we jump in, I feel like this would be a long podcast. Strap in, people. This is going to be a good one. So, out of everything that took place, there was it was nice and meaningful to be in the population. Like this wasn't your typical like, hey, we're going to go to another country and be on a resort with a bunch of other Americans.
Right.
We were literally like immersed, living, going from town to town, living with the people, talking to the people. So most people we talked to did not understand a lick of English.
No.
Like not at all. So we're
No.
sitting there trying to like find ways to communicate, and especially if Matt wasn't with us.
Right.
And I felt like I was getting better at communicating simple phrases of what we needed by the end.
Yeah.
And so, but it was that. It was the intentional time that we took with each other and learning about each other. It was the silence and stillness of being with ourselves and removing that distraction. It was a combination of all these things that when you put it together, it was like, holy crap, like this was such a phenomenal experience. And I did not expect it to be as good as it was.
Totally. Like it was just like trying to communicate it to people coming back. It's just like, man, you could do that once a year and have it be that impactful, like
Yeah.
and it's like, well, how we can't probably do that every year, but how can we take, that type of experience and making sure we are taking that time
Mm.
to put into our daily routine or our monthly routine or, I mean, just a little thing is like my work phone goes in my office at 8 p.m. and I don't go get it again until 8 a.m., which I know that's still a lot of on time, but that's a big step for me from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., like
Yeah.
not having it. But how do we take those steps that put that into like our daily practice to
Yeah.
have that time?
No, I absolutely agree. And there's ways that you can, right? Um, One of the things that in the book Do It that he talks about is to if you have something to do, right? Turn your phone on do not disturb or put on airplane mode so you can't get anything, right? Put on airplane mode and for 25 minutes do that specific task, whatever it may be. Focus on it, 25 minutes, nothing else, no emails, no other notifications. Take a 5-minute break. And during your 5-minute break, go do whatever you want to do. Go outside, go make a cup of coffee, go out, sit outside and like answer some text messages or whatever. 5-minute timer goes off, boom, get back to the task at hand for 25 minutes. And he says, do that 2 more times, right? That's an hour right there. So that's 2 hours right there of continuous work. And he's like, the max you would want to do in a day is 3 hours like that, where it's like focused continuous work. He's like, if you do that every single day, you would be surprised how much more productive you are, right? At getting tasks done, at completing whatever it is. It could be for business, it could be for a side hustle, it could be for a hobby, whatever, right? It could be maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you're like, I want to write a book and it's kind of like a passion project. Doesn't matter what it is. But if you're doing it like that, to really give up 3 hours a day in that kind of intense focus and still be able to maintain everything else, I think it's a phenomenal strategy to apply to your life in order to be more focused, more intentional. And another thing is I've found that I like when I go on my walks now, I used to have ear pods in and listening to music. And
Mm-hmm.
now I have my ear pods in, but they're silent and it's just noise canceling. I turn on
Mm-hmm.
noise canceling mode. I cancel out all the sound and I literally just look around and I take that 45 minutes outdoors every day to look, to think, to ponder, to let my subconscious kind of solve problems, stuff like that. And it's been for me, like it's been a drastic shift
Oh,
in my daily activity since I came back.
yeah. Yeah, I've noticed it a lot just with little things that are coming up now with the kids, like, not having that distraction and being intentional with them and focused on them in those morning hours and evening hours, and
Mm.
the goofiness, the stories, the connection that we're getting just because we're not being pulled away by the electronic leash,
Yep,
but
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So, tell us how is it that you go from being an MMA fighter, Captain Awesome, to a real estate mortgage broker?
Well, I was technically doing both the whole time. I had started at Chase Bank when I was 19 years old, working as a teller, working up, and I had wrestled in high school and college, and early 2006 timeframe. I actually had 2 amateur fights back then, and just fell in love with the sport. Like my first MMA fight was in a boxing ring, um, in a bull riding arena that was out back of a country western dance hall. They would do bull riding events during the summer, and they're like, "Hey, let's put up a boxing ring and have some MMA fights." And there was 200 people there, and the exhilaration of that fight and that win felt the same as when I won high school state wrestling championship
Yeah.
at what was then the Pepsi Center down in Denver, with like 20,000 people. It was the same feeling, and I was like, "Gosh, I gotta do this." But I had 2 fights, and then I had some health challenges where kind of pulled me away for like 4 years, and so I was doing the finance thing and started fight. But as soon as the health was better, I was like, "We gotta get back into fighting," and so fought while doing mortgages, and I would train in the morning, work during the day, train at night, and made for some interesting mortgage closings with black eyes and stitches and limping. Matt's first real estate closing was 6 days after they took 40 plus stitches out of my face, and I looked pretty terrible.
Oh, I bet. Oh, I bet. Probably just swollen is that's a grapefruit, bro.
Just like, yeah, yeah. The listing agent on the other side was like, "What happened?" Like, I'm like, well, it wasn't mortgage related. It was fighting.
I did boxing in high school, and I continued to practice in college. And I'm a southpaw, so
Right.
I'm left-handed.
Okay.
And when I was in college, in fact, it was my senior year of college. It was my senior year of college because I just got married, and my wife was still pregnant. She had not had. No. It was not my senior year. It was my junior year because my senior year, my daughter, my oldest daughter, was already born.
Okay.
So it was when we were married, but she was pregnant. We went Nashville used to have a bar Nashville, I believe. We used to go up there all the time in the weekend to go hang out with friends and people from school and just go party in Nashville. And I think it was like on Thursday nights or something when I was growing up, they would put a boxing ring in the middle of the bar floor, and anyone could friggin' sign up.
Yep.
And so I would go do fights. And one of my first fights I did, there was this guy. He was much shorter than me, but he called me out because I'm the tallest guy anywhere I walk, just about
Everywhere we go.
everywhere I go. And so he called me out, And I was like, and I was also scrawny skinny. This like, dude, I was like, it was about 170 pounds.
Okay.
So at my height. So,
Toothpick.
yeah, I was a toothpick, bro.
Yeah.
I was real lean. I was super, super lean.
Yeah.
So anywho, this guy calls me out, and this other guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I'll give you $50 if you whip his ass." And I was like, "Really? Why is that?" He's like, "Look at his back." And on his back, he had a huge swastika tattoo on his back.
He's like, just beat him.
He's like, "Whoop that motherfucker's ass, bro." I was like, "All right," and I did. And I was like $50 richer. And I remember the same thing. I was like super elated. I was like, dude, that was the friggin' best. So we're talking stories about it for like 2 weeks before we finally went back into it again. But that was something I did in my junior and senior year just to fool around and have fun.
Totally.
Was we would go out and we would go to the bar and go do boxing matches.
Go do boxing.
So yeah.
That was like the best time of like fighting, because like, I mean, before they took it to the outside into the bull riding arena, they were doing it inside, and there was guys that I'm like, that dude just literally smoked a pack of cigarettes outside, and now he's in there getting after it,
Yeah,
throwing up. But it's just like, anybody want to sign up, go for it. That's actually how I got into mine and my wife's first date. She came and watched me bull fight, because they would do the bull riding events, and they were like, "We're gonna do the bullfighting event in between. Who wants to sign up?" And alcohol at that time helped give me courage to sign up to go do bullfighting, and she watched me do bullfighting from our first date.
Nice. Was
Yeah.
she like, man, this guy's an idiot. I love him.
Well, she always grew up wanting that cowboy, and she thought she did. But I like country music and I like the events, but I did not grow up on the farm.
Yeah.
So bait and switch on my part.
She thought, she was like, oh, this is a farm boy.
Yeah.
Little did she know.
Little she know, but
The greatest con of all time.
yeah.
Nice, man. What's one of your most memorable fights?
Man, there's a lot, but I think the one that sticks out. It's tough because like my pro debut, I actually fought twice in one night in a tournament, which that was wild. The first time I fought on NBC, like in front of the big screen, was awesome. Where Chael Sonnen was commentating my fight, and you could hear him while I was fighting. I'm like, this is awesome. But probably my favorite was it was my fourth pro fight, third or fourth pro fight. I'm training for a fight here. It was my third because I had just fought the tournament. I was 2-0, and I was training for a fight here that fell apart. Someone got hurt, sick, whatever, and coach was like, "Hey, stay in shape," because he knew me that when I don't have a fight, I would not eat healthily and gain some weight. But he's like, "Stay in shape. I'm going to find you a fight." And my oldest son was 3 months old, and I remember it was Saturday. I was cooking us lunch, and he calls me. He's like, "How do you feel about Lebanon?" And I was like, "Kansas?" He's like, "No, the country." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "I found you a fight. We can go fight this guy, the world wushu kickboxing champion from Dagestan, Russia, and we'll go in 10 days and fight in Beirut, Lebanon." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And we went, and just me and Reed, and flew overseas. I had never been to a Middle Eastern country, and I have Christian tattoos, and had a panic attack going. I'm like, I'm gonna die. They're gonna kill me. And we get to Beirut, and it's Christmas time, and they have Christmas trees, American Christmas music, and it was just it was this wild event where we get to the hotel, and it's this fancy 4-star hotel, and in the parking lot there's Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Range Rovers, and there's only like 500 people at the whole event, but it's the who's who of Lebanon.
Mm.
And um, fought. We were the main event, and right before the fight, they started chanting USA, and and took him down. He hit me once, and I was like, I do not want to be hit by that again. And so I took him down and submitted him in the first round, and it was wild. They let the crowd into the cage after the fight, and it took a good hour taking pictures with everybody and before we were able to leave. And that guy is in the UFC now. I think he has 3 losses, and I'm one of the 3. But he's a killer striker, but was not ready for the ground game at that point.
Yeah.
But it was just such a cool experience because we flew to a Middle Eastern country, never been there, got to meet the people, and really just, it was really eye opening because people are people, and they were great. And gotten to after the fight, got to talk with like an Iraqi police officer who was there to fight, and it was just really such a cool experience. And of course, winning, flying all the way over there and losing would have sucked, but
Yeah.
but
USA, and then I lost.
but honestly, they had brought me in to lose. They were trying to build this guy up, but we had watched his video. We're like, he's not very good on the ground. And as soon as we got there, it was like it was like wrestling your little brother. It was like, you've not been here before. This is gonna be fun.
You've not done this before.
This dude wasn't moving the way he should have been moving, and but I mean, like he's had some impressive knockouts, so, and he's still doing it, which is good. But yeah, just that whole experience, and getting the culture shock, getting to meet the people, feeling like I was like, it almost felt like what was that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where he was fighting in front of all the rich people?
Oh,
Like,
is it Bloodsport?
no, not Bloodsport. I think it was like maybe it was Lionheart, but like where they were fighting like in the racquetball arena. Like that's how it felt, because like there was not that many. Like in comparison, they flew people from all over the world to this fight. Like those tickets had to be expensive because like it was. The Facebook friends we got after that were the Lebanese celebrities that were there. Like it was awesome. But that's probably the most memorable.
Good connections to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So during this time, so you're doing mortgage, you're a mortgage lender, and you are at the same time training and engaging as a professional MMA fighter. How many fights did you do total?
23 total, 15 as a professional MMA.
Okay. 23 total fights in this time frame. What does it take to be able to fully go in on 2 paths like that? Because like for a mortgage lender, you basically worked off a commission, correct?
Correct.
So you're like, that's full, like you eat what you kill. 2 different paths, a lot of time for both. How do you manage that?
I mean, it was tough. Luckily, like my wife was a rock star during that time frame, like just taking care of as much of the house stuff. I mean, as each child was born, I had a fight right around it. Like my pro debut, my son was 3 weeks old, and she would take care of like, hey, I'm gonna set up my bed in the nursery, so I could sleep and eat and have that rest and undisturbed. But it was just for me, and this is a lot of like just everything, is I have like, what do I do on a daily basis? It's all right, I get up, I gotta eat, I gotta do these things to get ready to go train. I get up, or I do that. I go train before work, and then work time is work time, and I would rock it out. But then in the evening, I'd be right back to the gym, training, and then eating, getting home, doing the recovery things, eating dinner, getting to bed. And literally that was it. Like, there was not fun around that. It was just, you're pushing your body during that time, and we're doing, 2 a days, 6 days a week. And just get up, train, go to work, train, eat, sleep, repeat. And it was just busy during that time, but that was all we did, was train and work.
The amount of discipline and just focus that it takes to maintain that for the period of time you did is incredible. That's incredible. What do you attribute to your ability? Is that something that you've been natural at, just being disciplined, or is that something that you've had to work on? And if so, how have you worked on it?
Not natural, because I mean, I think the natural state for most of us, including me, is I just want to do what feels good, and not necessarily getting up at 5 a.m, going to the gym was not what I wanted to do those mornings. But it was creating that, well, what do I want? Like, and in business, it's easy because there's the goals of, like, all right, this is the life I want to live, like, what I want to provide for my family, what type of business do I want to run. In fighting, it was, well, I want the success, but for me, it was always that path of, like, who am I when that cage door shuts? And then also knowing that if I don't go do that work, that the other guy is doing that work, and we're gonna see who put in the most work that night, as we punch each other. And so it was kind of a negative motivation at some points, because it was, well, you've already signed the dotted line. You're going in to fight this guy on this date.
It's a commitment. You're accountable to it.
Yeah, like,
it's happening whether you like it or not.
Yeah, we're not going to Chick-fil-A for dinner tonight. We're going to eat, my healthy chicken, vegetables, and whatever I was making. But you had to not put that. It was the negative, because you couldn't put it in your mouth. You couldn't go eat the bad food. You couldn't take that extra day off, because you were gonna meet the opponent who was potentially doing that extra work.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's an external form of accountability.
Yeah.
So, and I like that. And I always talk to my clients and I tell them there's 3 forms of accountability. There's external community accountability, when you're like part of a group, or like a CrossFit gym or church or something like that, or even your social media following, right? If you're trying to portray yourself to be one way and you have to continue to portray yourself that way, you're kind of accountable to it. And then you have internal accountability. And if you just left it up to yourself, like, I'm going to go if someone woke up today, like, I'm going to be an MMA fighter, they're like, I'm going to be an MMA fighter. Like, without having the accountability of signing on the dotted line and signing that contract, like, I'm going to go fight this person on this day, and not knowing how that person's training, and just having that date looming over your head, where you're constantly pushing to push yourself every single day, day in, day out, because that day is coming no matter what you want or what you do. They're probably going to fall off. They're probably going to be like, they're going to have a sore day and be like, you know what, I worked too hard, I'm sore, I got to take a day off. Or like, you know what, I worked really hard, I'm going to have pizza today. Or, and make those little compromises. Yeah. So I think for you, having that external accountability of that pending fight, and not knowing, like, dude, he could be doing 10 times the amount of work as I am doing.
Yeah.
And so it's always a question.
Like, I don't want to be outworked. Like, if he's better than me, he's better than me. But I don't want to lose because I'm out of shape. I don't want to lose because I'm not prepared. If I lose because I make a mistake, great, but not because I didn't put in the work.
Yeah. That's what it's
And
all about.
I had, knowing like, because if I go to the gym by myself, I'll do the executive workout. I'll go sauna, hot tub, sit in the pool, where like I need to take people with me or have a class or have a workout plan. Like if I just go without a structure, I'm not gonna do what I have to do, whether it's business, workout. I
In,
need.
in all areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that training as an MMA fighter, competing as an MMA fighter, has taught you skills that were transferable to other areas of your business and life?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is knowing that you can still do what you have to do, even if you don't feel like doing it. Because again, like getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, it never was like, yay.
Yeah. No one's ever like, dude, I'm not either. Like getting up at 4 a.m. So I'm at the gym by 5 a.m. I
Yeah.
don't wake up and I'm just like birds are chirping. And then I was like, it's a beautiful day to have a great day. Like I'm just like happy and put my feet on the ground and then like happy music's playing. No, man, I'm like,
Yeah.
uh,
Don't talk to me for just a minute.
oh man.
But like
Tired.
doing it, that like if you just, take that first step, and you do the activity, that you can push through what's hard even when you don't want to,
Yeah.
you know. Like
Implement discomfort every day at the beginning of your day. That's actually written by Marcus Aurelius in Meditations over 2,000 years ago. He talks about implementing and putting discomfort in your day because your ability to overcome it teaches your mind that you have greatness within you and that there's other things that you can overcome within your life.
And you get those little daily victories, build on each other. One of my favorite books is Slight Edge. And it talks about how your daily decisions, those decisions in that day aren't going to make or break you, but over a course of your life, they will.
Yeah.
You eat a Big Mac today, you're not going to die, but you eat a Big Mac every day, well,
Good luck.
you don't do your push-ups, as Greg says today.
Hey, do your push-ups, bro.
Do push-ups. I've been doing my push-ups, by the way.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But you don't work out today. Well, in the course of your life, that's not a big deal. But if you don't work out for the next 3 years, I mean, that's huge. Like, so it's just those daily decisions, are going to change the course of your life. 1 degree at a time, but over the course of your life, that's 2 drastically different destinations.
Yeah, I agree. Let's shift gears.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Camino. I want to go over like some of your favorite stories or things that happen. Like tell a story.
I think one of the coolest things is that we all turned into 5-year-old boys. Like the jokes, the laughter, but like just like we were having fun.
Yeah.
And this is so silly, but like that day that we kicked that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh man.
Like so there was a nut that was inside of like this green shell that looked like a lime, and
with like little prickly stickers all over it.
Yeah, and I think Brian started it, or you and Brian, and we were kicking it, and between the 5 of us, we kicked the same ball for over a mile.
Yeah,
and it was such a fun game. Like we were just like,
we're trying to keep it on the path and let it not fall off the path and go like into a culvert or something. And if it got on the dirt, then we had to kick it back on the path.
We were like, we're kicking this all the way to Santiago.
Yeah.
And then this little terrier dog comes
out of nowhere
and steals it.
Out of nowhere, this little terrier dog comes over, runs it. We just kick this thing for a mile, and we're proud of ourselves, by the way. Like, we've been kicking this thing for over 20 minutes. and like kicking it 20 feet ahead, catching up to it, kicking again 20 feet ahead, catching up to it. And then we kick it. There's this guy sitting on the side of the Camino, like chilling, doing his break. He's got his dog with him. And dog sees us kicking it, runs right up, grabs it off the ground, and takes off.
Like from our feet. Like you could have like literally kicked the dog. And like but it was just like, dang it.
Yeah.
Well, he could have it.
Yeah. Like, well, I didn't like this game anyways.
But like the whole week, like it was just like that type of laughter. Like again, like the stress was gone.
That was like day 4 or 5 on the trail.
Yeah.
It was like day 4 or 5. I remember like day 5 was the first day when we really started laughing, and we would like, and every person I was talking to in every group, every time we stopped, we were like, that was legitimately like a day filled with laughter. We all of us turned into just clowns. And it was like every conversation we had was just more and more jokes.
Yeah.
So it was great.
And then, the day it poured.
That
was cool. Cause like, I mean, just watching everybody go to shelter, and we just put on the raincoats and powered through it.
Yeah. That was like day 2
or 3.
Cause I remember my boots got so wet. I had to not wear them. And then it tore up my soles. My soles were old. My boots were old anyways, and all the water seeped in and just separated the soles. So my soles. I was walking on day like 4 with my boots again, because I wore tennis shoes on day 3, and day 4 I wore my boots again, and the front of the sole had fell, and it was just this flap every time I was like walking at both feet, and I was like buying super glue and like super gluing it. That didn't really work. It only hold for like an hour. Yeah, man. I forgot about that. The pouring day. That's a good memory. I'm going to talk about. That's the one I want to highlight. Because when we first started raiding, we all pulled on our jackets, and we were in different groups because we were kind of separated by a little bit of distance. And so it was Travis, myself, Tom, and then the guide. What's his name?
Mike.
It was Mike, the guide. And so it was the 4 of us together. And we were like groups of 2 and 2, like one right behind the other walking. I had my walking sticks out. And it started raining, and Mike looked over, and we put on our jackets, and it was like sprinkling, but then it started to pour. And Mike looked over, and was like, hey, there's an awning over there. Do you want to go? And I was like, fuck no. Like we were told to bring wet gear. Like, that's why we have it out. Let's fucking go, man. Like how long is it going to rain for? It would rain for the next 2 hours.
And it was like 2 hours straight.
Yeah, it rained for like 2 hours straight. And we were soaked. We were soaked. And we started walking. We just kept walking. And every town we passed by, there would always be those little shops or something. And there were so many people that were there, sitting in there, not trying to get wet. Like that, some places we saw, they were crammed like inside, trying to get away from the rain. And once we got wet, once we was like it was at least one thing I soaked through my pants. I was like, dude, let's have fun with this. So we were like just like hoofing it across country, jumping in puddles, like it was awesome, man. That was a good time.
Yeah,
I was surprised Tom was keeping up with us. Like, Tom's in his 60s, and we were at the front of the group. We were at the front of the pack.
Yep.
And we were just hoofing it, going through, and Tom was just keeping up like it was nothing.
Yeah, he was a machine.
He was a machine, man. I was like, dang, and I walk fast. Like, I get complaints about that all the time. Like, dude, you walk really fast. I'm like, dude, look at the length of these legs, bro. Like,
I got a longer stride.
I got way longer stride. So, he was keeping up perfectly. And then we ended up going to we went to that really nice place that Bob was sitting at, because Bob had hurt his knee.
Oh, yep.
And it was like a hotel. It was like a hostel, like hotel, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
And we stopped and we grabbed some snacks. And I remember I took my jacket off, and I took my raincoat off, and I was taking my backpack off, and I had steam coming off of me.
Yeah.
And the guy that was at the restaurant, that he saw me, and he was just like, He called me something. He said I was like the Hulk or like some superhero or something, because he was like, dude, you got steam coming up. So, I think he called me Captain America, like when Captain America comes out of the thing and he's just like,
Yeah.
he like called me Captain America, and I was like, well, it's not you're not wrong. So I used to be called Captain America when I was in I wasn't Captain Awesome, but I was called Captain America when I was in the military. It's when I was in command. That's what my soldiers used to call me.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that was a good time, man.
That was it. I'm glad it didn't rain every day, because that would have sucked.
That would have sucked, yeah.
But just that one little spot of just like pouring.
Mhm.
It was cool.
And then the rainbows came out.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, the rainbows, like the double rainbow started coming. It's a
Mhm.
double rainbow. Man, what was the town we went to that day? Was that the crap town? Because the first town was awesome. The first town was that everything was white. Every house was white, and it was like literally built on the hill.
Right.
That was the first town.
Aria.
I
think that was going into the third town.
No, the third town was the town when we had the festival.
Oh yeah.
That was the festival of drunkards. It didn't rain that day.
No, it didn't rain that day. So maybe it was that second day that
it was the second day, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think what the name of that town was. And which town was it? I remember that was the town that we went to. We played the
foosball.
We played foosball.
Yeah.
We went to the bar and we were just having bar food. And it was just like random, like, because they kept serving like
giving us
free food. It was like bread with some spread, and then like it would be like French fries with like pepperonis on it. I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is giving it to us because we're sitting there playing foosball.
Yeah.
So that was dope.
Yeah, I was like, we didn't order any appetizers. They're like, oh no.
No, it's okay. Like, it's like that's something that they do in Spain and a lot of small bar restaurants, is that when you're there, they'll just hand out free appetizers. And like certain appetizers, some appetizers are like the Spanish tortilla, which basically is like an omelet. It's like a quiche omelet, kind of. It's really thick though. So what they do is they take potatoes and onions and they cook them. And we saute them, and they put them into like a deep dish, like a pizza dish, and they fill it with egg, with mixed egg, and then they bake it, and then they slice it like a pie. So it's like a thick slice, like a cake slice or a pie slice. And that is a Spanish tortilla. And so when you ask for a tortilla somewhere in northern Spain, it's what you'll get. And it's phenomenal. But like the first time I had a Spanish tortilla was in the first town. Who was it? Travis and I went out for a run, and that entire town was on the hill.
Right.
So we were sprinting up hills, and I was dying, man. That was the worst. That was one of the worst workouts, because we had just got done walking 16 miles, and my legs were starting to kick in, like it was starting to get sore. And then we went on that run. We went like a 3-mile run, going up these hills and down and up throughout. And we were on the entire town, and I was like, dude, I'm spent. And we went and we sat down. He went and had a beer, and I was sitting there talking to him. And the guy came over and just handed us plates. And I was like, we didn't order this. And he was like, no, it's okay. And he set it down, and it was 2 Spanish tortillas. I was like, dude, this thing is delicious. I thought it was like baked mac and cheese or some shit. I was like, what the hell is this thing? It was so good. And so, and then every place we went afterwards, usually when you go to those kind of places, they will give you some kind of free like appetizer, finger food, just for being there. So,
I mean, the food, the whole trip was just like incredible. And even in like those little like mom and pop farmhouses, like that, there was that day that you and I went into that one, and they had like the flat empanada pizza.
Yeah,
it was like,
and it was filled with pepperoni, wasn't it?
Bacon.
It's bacon. It was bacon and cheese. Yes, because I wanted to get a bocadilla. I was trying to get bocadilla, bacon and cheese, and she was like, because I was like, it's like bocadilla, jamon y queso.
Yeah.
And she was like, and she pointed, she was like, this instead, basically. And I looked at it, and I was like, and I was like, looked at it, and I was like, what's in it? She's like, come on. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll try that. That thing was legit, bro. It was so good.
so good. I was like, I want another one of those.
Yeah, I was like kind of kicking myself in the ass that I didn't get two of them because they're so cheap. It was like, what was it, like $1.50 or like $2 for that thing? And it was big.
Everywhere.
It was
Yeah.
big. It was like yay big, and it was like this thick, and it was packed full of so much bacon.
So much bacon.
Yeah, it was packed with bacon and cheese. I was like, this thing is legit.
Well, like,
Oh, like, dude, what is that? I was like, get away from it. You
yeah.
didn't order this, I did.
Well, and like everywhere we like that first day when we stopped at that first like farmhouse, and they were like, all right, you can use your credit card. It's just 15 euros. I'm like, oh, that'll be easy.
Yeah.
Travis got a sandwich. Travis got a beer. I got a smoothie, and we weren't.
He got me a sandwich.
And then he got you a
Yeah,
sandwich.
me a sandwich. Yeah.
And we finally got like, so it was 2 sandwiches, 2 drinks, and we finally got to 15 euros. Like it was like everything was.
I think he also got something else.
I think so. Like it just felt like
I think it was like five items.
We just had to keep adding stuff to get to the minimum.
Yeah.
Like
whereas like if in the States you could have like a coffee and like a sandwich and that would be like $15.
Done. I'm like,
especially if you had a beer. If you had a beer and a sandwich, dude, you're like $20 right there.
Totally. Yeah.
Easily.
I mean, there was one day I got I ordered us the 7 coffees, and the lady was like $10.50 for 7 coffees. I was like, what?
And these are legit coffees also.
Right. Yeah, not
so like the best coffees that you'll have.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, that would have been $40 at Starbucks. Like,
yeah, easily.
Easy.
And then there's no tipping.
No tipping.
And no sales. And so, well, the sales tax, they kind of have it, but it's like baked into the price.
Right.
So.
It was great.
Dude, it was such a great time.
I'm hungry now.
I'm hungry. So, Kris, thank you so much for jumping on and just having a conversation with me, shooting the shit, and kind of sharing your experiences as an entrepreneur and also on the Camino. If anyone wants to reach out to you just to kind of connect or learn more about Captain Awesome and who you are today, what is the best place to connect with you?
Probably the 2 easiest is Instagram. You can go Kris Hocum at Instagram or the Hocum Team Lending on Instagram as well. Or just hit me up on same on Facebook as well for both of those.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the Be the Difference podcast. Last question I ask all my guests that come on the show is: if you have an opportunity to sit with, break bread with, learn from, have a conversation with 3 individuals, anyone in history, alive or deceased, who would those 3 people be and why?
Okay. Well, of course, sitting with Jesus would just be, I mean, I
think he could ask more questions than you would, though.
Totally, right? Like
he has some very thought-provoking questions and like answer the question that give you the answer you're looking for. You're like, shit.
Like, but that one first, of course, and then I'd love to talk to George Washington. Like, I think just some of the stories and like, I've been reading some things just with history lately, and just like the fact that he chose to give up power. Just, I think there would be some incredible lessons to be learned there.
Yeah, he didn't even want to do a second term. They had to like beg him.
They had to force him. Yeah, basically. And it's just like, yeah, just all of those stories from the revolution to that just would be, I think, some great lessons. And then a third one. Man, that's a good one, Greg. I think even just in some of the United States pieces, getting to learn from or listen to like a Dale Carnegie,
Sorry, my dog is going nuts.
Mine did it earlier.
Yeah. So. Oreo, you're killing me. I'm trying to record here. Somebody comes to the door and knocks on the door and then walks away, and she just just goes, it's just like, she's the smallest dog ever. She doesn't even bite. It's just like, why are you barking? Like you're
just got to get them.
So,
yeah, I think learning, I think getting to, talk to like a Dale Carnegie, which we get to through some books and stuff, but I think that would be a good third one with On the Fly.
I'm on podcast. I'm recording right now. Sorry. Oh, so if anyone's listening to this, so obviously you came in at the best time. This is the first time it's ever happened while I've been recording. So, so I guess it's time for me to like close shit up. Dude, I appreciate you jumping on. I like all those answers. I think they're fantastic. For those of you that are listening, then all I ask is one thing. That obviously you got value up to this point by listening to Kris's story and us just chit chat and shoot the shit. Do us a favor. Share this content with somebody else that can get value from it, that can learn, that can grow, or even be entertained by it. It takes you 30 to 60 seconds to rate, review, subscribe, and share, but it means the world to both Kris and I if you do so. So we ask that you do so. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time, deuces. We'll see you.